Question 670. If you could edit your past, would you refuse to do so, or gamble that the knock-on consequences wouldn't be dire?
Oh, I'd take a chance.
As in that past-present time paradox idea. So, like, I could go back in time and alter, say, my brother's life, and it could affect me.
Yes.
Okay.
Depends. Can I be selective about what year I alter?
Yes. That's the point. You can go back and change something about your past.
I was just trying to determine parameters.
Oh, someone's having a barbecue outside and it smells nice.
So the earlier you do it, the more well, not necessarily. Can't say that.
I mean, that's tough, Dave, because, for instance, in my situation, I always said that I'd go back and change so my mother wouldn't have died. But if my mother wouldn't have died, I wouldn't have moved to Florida, where my sister was, and I wouldn't have had my daughter. So
that's the problem.
It's tough. That's a tough decision if you. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of where I was looking at that. I would not change anything before I met my fiance because then that might not happen. But wondering if there isn't some way that I could have prevented her death if I had altered something just before that point.
So you'd risk it.
But then what in your life now would have, I mean, after that would have changed that was a good thing? That's the problem.
You wouldn't know us.
My life's pretty much been shit since then, so.
Could I get 2 turns?
What do you mean 2 turns?
2.
What?
Yeah.
Like, can you try twice?
Like this.
Yeah, I want 2 turns.
No.
Although, yeah, even that. Even if I were able to alter it so that my fiance hadn't died, I probably would never found this community then.
Exactly. So this is my point. You wouldn't have us.
See, and that's where the problem lies.
Yeah.
The repercussions sometimes are not good. Like it's good in the moment, but the long-term repercussions are usually.
I mean, would you be a completely different person if your mother hadn't died when she had?
Oh my God, my whole life would have been different, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean,
because after that, I felt like a failure for 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
So it ruined 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
Even when you kind of know what's coming up, life is always a series of trade-offs. You're having to make compromises on what you're going to give up for what you think you're going to get.
Yes.
Yep.
So this is the problem, as to whether or not to change it.
But you know,
I think. Go on.
Oh, at the same time, though, everything that happened with my mom has now made me a stronger, better person.
Yeah.
I'm more caring, I'm more empathetic, I'm more sympathetic. I know for a fact that I would have been if I hadn't experienced that. And throughout my life, because I've lived in several different places, I've always met somebody that needed help. Even if it was just listening to them or giving them a ride to the store or whatever. And I don't think I would have been as sympathetic or empathetic to those people, and I wouldn't have helped those people. So that's another repercussion of it.
Entirely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know if I mean, it's a shitty thing to say, but I don't know if I'd change it.
No,
I wouldn't have my daughter, and I would have.
This is very much the
been a
sentiment
different
of it.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not sure. Jenny?
Yeah. It's hard to answer.
Well, I don't know how practical my wish would be, because I don't know how to cure cancer, and I would like to go back and keep my mom from getting cancer.
But would you need to be able to cure it as if you knew about it in advance? Surely just the knowing about it in advance might be enough. Well, telling them 10 years earlier that she's going to have this and when it and how to that they need to treat it sooner might be enough.
I suppose possibly.
Well, and that's part of what I'm stuck on, is that even with what I know now, I don't know if there's anything that I could have changed that would have helped.
See, that's why I'm so torn. Is if I could know that I could end her chances of dying from cancer, I would happily do that in a second. But if I could not affect that, I wouldn't want to waste it on extending her life because she was in such pain at the end. And I would rather come back as my high school self and make myself change 10, 15 years earlier than I did.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
Now,
on a similar line, that even if you know what you know, even if you could have known then, there's stuff that I accurately predicted that people just wouldn't pay attention to at the time.
No, but how forcefully you would do it is a different matter. If you knew for a fact rather than
because you would know the outcome.
Yeah. I mean, there are things I knew and I predicted.
Of Apple.
But I mean, the shares one is perfect. I turned around to my dad at 18 and said, "You need to buy things in this company, this company, this company, and this company. All of this is going to happen," and everything I said came true.
Yep.
But again, I wasn't. I should, if I'd have been forceful about that, he'd have been worth a fortune now. Clear him off, live easily.
And Bitcoin too.
You've got to have a sell date for that one.
Yeah. So I guess, Dave, it would depend on the situation too, because with my sister, if they had caught her cancer 4 years earlier when she started having symptoms and they didn't know what it was, she would have beat it. Because by the time they caught it, she was stage 4.
Yeah.
So that, if I went back and changed, would be nothing but good. And I know that for a fact. So because my nephews, who are her only two sons, their father died 3 weeks later from Lou Gehrig's disease. So they'd still have a parent.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they lost.
Awful.
They were 15 and 17 and lost both parents. Yeah.
Yeah, especially so close together.
It's still horrible,
Yes.
but at least they weren't like 6, 7, 8, 9 kind of age.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
It's still awful.
The older you get, the more you know, and the more you know that person, and the more the more you're emotionally invested in them.
True,
so.
but your coping skills are so much more refined, or should be.
All right. Jones says, "This is a difficult question because I wouldn't be me if I did." That's the key point to the question. You wouldn't. You'd be a different person. We've changed virtually anything.
I agree, Joan.
Mathpig said, "I'd go back and buy lots of Szechuan sauce and store it. Life would be the same, but I'd get rich now."
Lots of what?
Szechuan sauce. It's from. It was released by McDonald's for a promotion when Mulan was originally released, and it's been brought up in Rick and Morty. But he's right. There are things you could change about the past that you could plan on. For example, you could buy shares in something and put them away, so they would have no effect in the meantime.
You could buy sauce and put it away.
Yep.
Yeah. Nerdy.
I
Not
had
sure.
actually used a story I was
does have a
dealing
shelf
with
life.
time travelers. That was, even the stock market or that, there was too much chance of affecting something.
Yeah.
But like going back to the 1980s and buying toys on clearance that now everybody's trying to collect.
Yeah.
Because it's like stuff that you could have bought on clearance for under $20 in the 80s now sells on eBay for like $800.
Yes. And a lot of that would have ended up being landfilled anyway.
Yep.
Apart from the fact that it might change what they make decision-wise. You could go back and buy E.T. Go back and buy all the copies of the Atari E.T. game.
But see, if you're buying it off the clearance rack, then it's stuff they've already given up on. They've already discontinued the line.
Maybe in the 80s. Less so now.
You don't even need to buy like hundreds of them. Just buy a couple.
Yes.
Yep.
Because you do know.
We're not trying to change the course of history here. I'm just trying to make a few quick.
Oh no, I'd wanna make Warren Buffett kind of money. There are so many bugs. There are so many bugs that need to be crushed that it would allow me to do.
Okay, well, here's one for you. What if you figured there was a way you could go back and prevent Trump from getting elected?
You see, the problem we've got is that's not played out yet. Trump, what is going on in America right now could be really good for America. It could make America finally face an awful lot of hard truths.
Yes.
Now,
Right,
it is
Dave,
horrific
that's
now,
exactly
and I
what
do
I'm
not
hoping
want
will
to
happen.
downplay what is happening right now. But the point is,
You are correct,
I go
Mr.
back and I
Steve.
look at the inherent racism in the States, and it was still going on in the 90s. It's only coming to light that a lot of these
Yeah.
things were still in place in the fucking 90s.
No,
What's
and
going
yeah,
on now?
I have said that's one of the things about Trump is that, I knew that there was a certain percentage that were racist. I just didn't realize there were so many of them that held it so strongly.
So I'm hoping that Trump is a good thing in the wash. That because of him,
Yeah.
good comes out of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think if that were the case, I think we would see more of a movement going against him for the upcoming election.
I think
And
if you
since
wash
people don't
Trump,
seem to be willing to do that, I think that it's not really helping.
I think if you washed Trump, he'd lose most of his mass.
Right.
Have you
Rub
seen,
off the spray tan.
have you seen the latest
Okay.
assault on his posture?
It's possible.
From,
Well,
from,
Yeah,
from him,
he looks.
the lean that he has
Yeah.
going because
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the 2.5-inch lifts he wears in his shoes.
Oh, I thought it was just because he was trying to show off his ass to everybody behind him.
Well, there might be some of that, but I think it's pretty legit.
It makes my calves look so nice.
I have several answers. I've managed to come up with several answers to this question.
Just wait a second, Badger. Just let me finish the chat. Nerdy says, not sure I could edit my past though. The knock-on thing is too weird. Mathpig is being sweet. Go back and leave a note for Manda saying Mathpig will find you and he will love you.
Oh.
People are now commenting on Trump.
Yes, he has, Randy.
We've started a political debate. Great racist. Right, Badger.
Sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned it.
That's okay.
Yes.
It was good.
So how sad do you want my answers?
I want all of them.
All right. The first thing. Let's assume that I just accept that the consequences are going to happen, and I want to go back and change things.
Yeah.
The things I would go back and change would be, in college, maybe studying something to do with working outdoors rather than computers.
Mm-hmm.
Or focusing a lot on programming, which I hate, but is something that is the only thing that is actually worth doing anymore computer-wise.
Fair enough.
Then... Oh. I need to think of a fun one to follow this one.
Go tell yourself. Go tell your 16-year-old self what kinks you're going to have in future, so you can start developing them then.
Yeah, fuck it, let's go with that for the fun one. But the non-fun one is that when my grandmother, in the last moments of her life, asked me to smother her with a pillow, I would do it.
Yes. Even
That
though that
is my-
might ruin your entire life.
Yeah, I think that is the thing that I am most ashamed of, and I think is my biggest failing as a person.
We shall move on to the next question before you discuss it more, because I know what happens.
I think I would change. One thing I would change is when I was about 14, 15, 15, and the next door neighbor asked to have sex with me, and I didn't, and I said no. Well, she was my friend. She was my friend's mom, you know.
Nerdy says Badger should become more nerdy. I think he might be coming on to you.
Oh. All right, now I've figured out what I'd do.
Go on.
I would I would go back in time, and I would buy up all. Do you remember those Jar Jar Binks toys with the long, sticky tongue that you could grab stuff at a distance with?
No.
They were a thing. They were in cereal
Nope.
packets.
Why do you guys talk about this?
Okay.
I would buy
'Cause-
all of those so
Why?
that I could then post them to Manda.
But one a day.
Sticky tongue. Chameleons
One a
have
day
long,
for 2
sticky
years.
tongues.
I'll see if I can find a picture of them instead.
Right. Okay. Next question.
And Manda would just wonder if this has something to do with that weird note about that math pig.
Just sign it, Math Pig.
Oh, it could.
If you enjoyed that, please hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. If you think you've got a better answer or just want to tell us how wrong we are, leave a comment down below. Subscribe down here for new questions every day, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on our live shows. If you click over here, you'll see our latest upload. Over here, for what YouTube thinks you'll love the most. And finally, for a complete playlist of all our currently released questions, click here.